The moment the little girl lifted her trembling hands, the entire restaurant seemed to hold its breath, because in a world that had ignored her silence for far too long, she was about to say thank you in the only language she knew, and no one yet realized how that single gesture would change every life in the room forever. Before the story unfolds further, take a second and pause right here. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet miracles that change destinies, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this connect hearts across the world. The little girl's name was Lily Harper, and she was 7 years old, small for her age, with soft brown curls that framed a face too serious for someone so young. She had been deaf since birth, a reality that shaped every part of her life, from the way she learned to read lips to how she clung to her mother's sleeve in crowded places. That evening, Lily sat at a corner table of a modest roadside diner, the kind with flickering neon lights and worn vinyl seats, a place people stopped at without thinking twice. Her mother, Emma Harper, sat across from her, exhausted in a way that sleep alone could never fix. Emma was a single mother who worked double shifts cleaning offices at night and stocking shelves before dawn, and this diner was a rare treat, paid for with loose change saved over weeks. It was meant to be a small reward for Lily after another long week of feeling invisible at school, where teachers tried but classmates rarely understood her silence. The waitress, Sarah Collins, approached their table with a tired smile, balancing too many plates and carrying the quiet weight of her own struggles. Sarah had once dreamed of becoming a teacher, but life had rerouted her path through unpaid bills, a sick father, and choices that felt less like decisions and more like survival. She took their order gently, not realizing that Lily was watching her hands more than her lips, absorbing every movement with intense focus. When the food arrived, Lily's eyes lit up in a way that made the long day almost worth it for Emma. For a brief moment, the world felt kind. As they finished eating, Emma fumbled through her worn wallet, counting bills with nervous fingers. She was short by a few dollars, her face flushing with quiet embarrassment. She planned to ask Sarah if she could come back the next day to pay the rest, a request she had made before in other places, always accompanied by apologetic smiles and lowered eyes. Sarah noticed the hesitation and, without drawing attention, adjusted the bill slightly, pretending she had made a mistake. It was a small act of kindness, one she performed more often than anyone realized, never expecting gratitude, because she herself knew how it felt to be on the edge. That was when Lily stood up on her seat, her small hands rising into the air with careful intention. She looked directly at Sarah, her eyes wide and sincere, and slowly signed the words she had practiced in front of a cracked mirror at home. Her movements were gentle but deliberate, filled with emotion far beyond her years. "Thank you." It was not loud. It did not demand attention. But it carried a weight that pressed against every heart nearby. Sarah froze, something tightening in her chest as she recognized the sign from a community class she once attended years ago, back when she still believed she could be more than her circumstances. Tears welled in her eyes as she nodded, placing a hand over her heart. Other customers noticed the moment, sensing something meaningful had passed between them. Even if they could not explain it. At a booth across the room sat a man who had remained silent until now, dressed simply, almost unnoticed. His name was Daniel Widmore, though very few people knew his face despite knowing his influence. He was the CEO of one of the largest technology firms in the country, a company that specialized in communication tools, including assistive devices for the hearing impaired. Daniel rarely visited diners like this, but tonight he had taken a long drive to clear his mind after the anniversary of his daughter's passing. She had been deaf too, and losing her years ago had left a hollow space no success could fill. When Daniel saw Lily sign those words, something inside him cracked open. He had spent millions developing technology, attending conferences, and giving speeches about inclusion, yet here was a child in a small diner reminding him of the human heart behind every statistic. He approached the table slowly, careful not to startle Lily or her mother, his voice gentle when he spoke to Emma, asking where Lily had learned to sign with such grace. Emma explained, her words heavy with pride and pain, that Lily had taught herself mostly through borrowed books and free online videos because proper classes were too expensive. She spoke about the school that lacked resources, about the nights Lily cried in frustration when the world felt unreachable. Daniel listened, his eyes never leaving Lily, who now clutched her mother's hand, unsure why the stranger looked at her as if she mattered deeply. In that moment, Daniel saw his daughter in Lily's face, saw the future he wished he had been able to protect. He felt a responsibility not born from wealth, but from shared humanity. Over the following weeks, changes began to ripple outward from that single sign thank you. Daniel arranged for Lily to receive full access to professional sign language education, speech therapy, and advanced hearing technology tailored to her needs, all without public announcements or cameras. He worked quietly, insisting that kindness did not need an audience. He also funded specialized training for teachers at Lily's school, transforming it into a place where children, like her, were no longer afterthoughts. Emma was offered a stable job with benefits at Daniel's company, one that allowed her to be present for Lily in ways she never could before. Sarah's life changed too. Daniel learned about her abandoned dream and helped her enroll in a teaching program with a focus on special education. For the first time in years, Sarah woke up with purpose instead of dread. Her kindness returned to her multiplied. The diner remained the same on the outside, but for those whose lives intersected there that night, it became sacred ground. Lily grew, not just in age but in confidence. She began telling stories with her hands, laughing more freely, standing taller in a world that finally seemed to notice her. She learned that her silence was not a weakness, but a language of its own, one capable of touching hearts in ways words sometimes could not. Daniel found healing in watching her thrive, a quiet redemption that eased the ache he carried for his daughter. He realized that legacy was not built in boardrooms, but in moments of compassion no one expected. Just before the ending of this story, take a moment and write in the comments what kindness means to you, because your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. As the years passed, Lily never forgot that night in the diner. She remembered the warmth of being seen, the power of gratitude, and the truth that even the smallest hands can create the biggest change. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that kindness still exists in a world that often feels cold, please like this video, share it with someone you love, and leave a comment to let us know this story mattered to you, because every engagement helps stories like Lily's reach hearts that are still waiting to believe.